Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Hey, Stella! You got him, Jack! I love you!
Have fun storming the castle.
When the legend becomes fact, print the legend.
Tell them we'll have punch and pack. We're not gonna have punch and pie. My bill will come if they think we have punch and pack.
Hello and welcome to Frame to Frame, part of Punch and Pie Media. We are the podcast that take two seemingly unconnected films and slam them together like an S&M demon and a vivisection on a table. I'm Andy Williams.
And I'm Sean Wilson.
And this week we're looking at two films that show us the gates of hell. So the films this week will be the 1987 British Clive Barker movie, Hellraiser, and the 1997 Paul W.S. Anderson directed, starring the late, great Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne, and hello to Jason Isaacs. We'll be looking at Event Horizon. So, Sean, have you ever taken any trips towards the gateways to hell at all?
Only when I've had too much to drink. And I kind of blame you for several of those instances. No, not literally, but I do remember my first time experiences of watching both of these films and thinking,
okay,
blimey, they're transgressive. Both of them, one more so than the other, but both kind of graphically gory. In fact, I think this might be the goriest double bill we've done in the 6.5 year history of this podcast. But never been
possibly.
Yeah,
not
possibly.
One doesn't necessarily come to mind.
Yeah, well, you know what I think about horror, and I think both of these movies kind of push at the limits of certainly of what visual horror can do. But no, I've never been to hell. Have you?
I mean, I grew up as an emo, so
you're going to start doing the Bill Bailey song, Bleed on Your Panini.
If I knew the words, I promise you I would. But no. So, yeah, I mean, the Black Parade was very much a part of my youth. And, that kind of, I had long hair and straightened it a lot. And I liked the band Him, which is His Infernal Majesty. They have like a heartogram. It looks like a pentagram, but there's a heart in the middle.
Hang on, I haven't discovered this about you before. You used to follow a band that had a pentagram in it. So
not follow, but I liked the band.
Oh, okay, interesting.
You've heard of Him,
okay.
Right?
No, I do not know anything about Him. So, and not the singular.
Okay,
the Him is in them. So I don't know.
Well,
and you get on at me for hanging about in graveyards when I was younger. So
I just listened to music. You just actually visited macabre places.
Yeah, this is true. yeah. Well, it led us here. So what can I say?
It did.
Yeah.
For all the right reasons. So let's start, as we always do, in a chronological order. So I have elected to go first. So from the year of the birth of the great author Sean Wilson is 1987.
Yeah.
I mean, I should put you straight into the name check spittoon. And
yes, I'll be immortalised.
Absolutely. Written and directed by Clive Barker in his directorial debut, based upon his own novella from 1986, which is called The Hellbound Heart. Hellraiser tells the story of Frank Cotton, played by Sean Chapman, as he is a hedonist seeking ultimate sensory experiences. He purchases a box called the Lament Configuration and configures it at an abandoned family home. As he does so, Cenobites come along and they give him both agonizing pain and exquisite pleasure. Instead of the ecstasy that he expects, they tear him apart with hooks and chains and take his soul down to hell. An undetermined amount of time later, Frank's brother Larry and his wife Julia move back into the house. We learn that Julia is both deeply unsatisfied in her marriage and has the memories of an illicit and passionate love affair that she had with Frank before the marriage. Larry cuts his hand and his blood seeps through the attic floorboards. It literally gets sucked through the wooden floorboards into the remnants of Frank's essence, which partially resurrects him. From thereafter, we have something akin to Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, in that she lures men back to the attic and agrees to help him fully regenerate his body by seducing local men, bringing them back, and bludgeoning them to death. I think we can leave the plot stuff there. There is some other stuff that happens.
It's a family film. It's a family-friendly film. That's clearly
yes. We can get into the whole deal with the teenage daughter and Pinhead and all that stuff in a little bit. Yes. But that kind of gives us a setup as to where we are. Now, my knowledge of Clive Barker comes from when you made me watch Nightbreed in 2021.
Don't rub the year in. I hate it when you do that. It's the passage of time and all that. But yeah, it's a frighteningly long time ago.
Yes. I think that was directors becoming actors as a theme. We looked at Nightbreed and Chef, which they're two pretty different films.
We lived up to our principles in that one.
Well, that was episode 75. We still had ideas then.
Please keep listening, people.
And yeah, so like that's kind of all. And I hated Nightbreed, if I remember correctly. I didn't enjoy it particularly. And so I went into Hellraiser having not ever seen it before, and being sort of aware of Pinhead. Like, I think it's just one of those things that kind of happens, that through osmosis you learn that this kind of iconography, and knowing its reputation as being a cult film and having like it was a big thing, the fact that it was shown in the Prince Charles, that's where it had its premiere. It's a very Prince Charles cinema kind of film. And at the start, I thought that it was akin to either an 80s really crap soap opera. You know, so we've had the Frank buying the box and then him being torn apart. But then when you get to the moment of his brother moving into the house, you go, oh, well, this is a bit pants. It actually reminded me a little bit of The Room, with some of the lighting and some of the shots.
Oh, hi, Pinhead.
I did not hook him. I did not.
That's the crossover we need.
And my wife looked up and sort of went, this is from the 80s, right? I was like, what makes you say that? She went, it could be none more 80s. The hairstyles, the acting, the way that it's shot, it is such an, like, at that moment when you've got the melodrama of the family and them showing you that the marriage is falling apart. And I really thought, oh no, I've got to come on and kick another Clive Barker movie. I feel bad. And then it kind of, it warmed up. Like, I really got to enjoy it as time went on. By the time we got to the teenage daughter, Kirsty, she kind of finds out a little bit that her mum is seducing men, and then finds out the truth, and then makes a deal with the Pinhead. So
with the Cenobites, led by Pinhead.
With the Cenobites, makes a deal with them that to save herself, they can have her horrible uncle. And I was all into that. That was very like post slasher movies of the 1980s. Like, I was all in on that. And I kind of enjoyed it by the end. It was campy, stupid, ridiculous fun, and then it's got the same twist as Jumanji at the end. The puzzle box is just kind of there. So
again, you're proposing more crossovers here. That might upset the family audience.
What do you make of Hellraiser?
I think it's a classic, and I think it's classic for several reasons. For one thing, it's not just an exercise in ripping gore, although there is a hell of a lot of that, and it's still really packs a punch all these years later. It's basically a very, very kinky, provocative S&M thwarted love story, basically as filtered through the perspective of hell. Effectively, you have the thwarted, jilted lovers. What then happens when this illicit romance kind of descends, sort of Dante style, through all these different layers of like depredation and degradation? And I mean, there's several. This all goes back to the essence of who Clive Barker is. Bearing in mind, I've always been aware of Clive Barker, and I was always aware of this film because I remember seeing the VHS cover staring out at me in the early 90s when people used to go to video
Same.
stores. And it terrified me because that image of Doug Bradley as Pinhead, who is only credited as lead Cenobite in this, he's not called Pinhead in the film, but that's a really striking image and it's amazing. And even as a young person, think, I don't want to watch that because that looks really scary. So I was always aware of that. So, but Clive Barker as an author, I only actually started reading him last year. I read the first installment in his Books of Blood anthology. There are several of these. I read the first one. And you can really see the concurrent themes between the stories in that anthology, and which then led into like the Hellbound Heart, which then led to him directing Hellraiser. And we should say he directed Hellraiser because he was dismayed about how his previous stories had been treated on the screen, and he had made short films before, but he chose the Hellbound Heart because it was slim, and he thought, okay, that's going to be relatively straightforward to adapt, and he wanted to take complete authorial control over the movie. But the whole idea of there are several key quotes in Hellraiser which basically unlock the philosophy of it. One of them being Pinhead's line, explorers in the further regions of experience, demons to some, angels to others, which is basically the duality between what is painful can also be sensual, what is sensual can also be horrifying. And the idea in this, within this flesh-ripping mania, there is some kind of ecstasy that is basically unlocked. That's very, very Clive Barker. That's very, again, it goes back to the whole lusty, sexual, sensual
feeds into the S&M, the BDSM influence on
exactly
the writing. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this is a better BDSM movie than 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, it really. I mean, that's not difficult. I was going to say it's not hard, but that would be an unfortunate choice of words. But just
I mean, I think Matilda's a better BDSM movie than 50 Shades of Grey.
Excuse me?
They got the chokey, haven't they?
Oh, for goodness sake. You've just completely ruined Matilda for me.
And Trunchbull pulls up the girl by her hair. Like, there's a good bit of hair pulling.
That's more disturbing than anything in Hellraiser. Thank you for that. But yeah, but you see what I mean, right? I mean,
yes.
you get it. And there's also the other line, which is pain and pleasure indivisible. So there is no boundary between what can make you feel ecstatic and what can make you feel agonized. And this is centrally embodied by the Cenobites, as we've said, led by Doug Bradley playing lead Cenobite, later credited as Pinhead because of his very striking appearance. His
head is a pin. I'm calling him Pinhead.
Pinhead, yeah.
Even if he was never credited as that, he would always be Pinhead because look at him.
Yeah, it's a remarkable piece of makeup design. I mean, all the Cenobites are fantastic. And given this was made for like £1 million or $1 million, I think $1 million. I think it was.
This again goes back to something that we always talk about, which is the beauty of practical effects.
Yes,
the beauty of actual creatures and actual scrunge and actual makeup and costumes and. When you're seeing the face being ripped apart, you're kind of seeing something being ripped apart. It's not a face, but I mean, I hope it's not a face.
A simulacrum of a face, but it looks so convincingly like a face that it's actually genuinely visceral and genuinely horrifying.
Yeah. And then when Frank's kind of reforming and you have the different parts of the body
that's brilliant,
transforming.
That's fantastic.
It's brutal. It's disgusting. In so many ways. Then when you've got like the spinal cord and the brain kind of forms and yes, it looks dated. It looks dated because it's practical effect, but it still it doesn't look as dated as if they were to have used CGI, right? There's elements of Event Horizon, which we'll get to, that look dated because they use CGI. But yes. I think even something that looks dated on a practical level still looks better than old kind of hammy CGI.
I mean, there are very, very dated practical optical effects in Hellraiser. I mean, the bits when the lament configuration, the box is being fiddled with, and you get the fizzes of like electricity. that looks really hokey, and then you get people going like that, and then people like the Cenobite zap onto the screen with that yellow electricity. That looks bad. That looks really bad, and you get a lot more of that comes into play towards the end. Luckily, it doesn't take up that much screen time really, so the film gets away with it. I mean, it is effectively a chamber piece. It's largely set within one house, albeit transcending the boundary between our world and the netherworld, the world of the Cenobites. And the way that Barker, as a debut director, the way he adjusts blocking and lighting and set design to take you from this ostensibly ordinary London suburban home into all of a sudden, oh, hang on, now the light has changed and we're getting the sense that something has changed in the room, and then there's something spinning around that's got flesh on it, and then there's something stepping out from the shadows. Oh crap, it's a Cenobite. And they've kind of come to take me. The way the movie kind of is fluid in terms of flipping between these different portals of our understanding is really well done for a very, very low budget 1980s horror movie. But again, the reason why it works is the themes are fascinating. It is, as I said earlier, it is a thwarted romance between Julia and Frank, and what they will do to be together, even unto death, right? And
even unto murder, right?
Yes,
although she can claim she's not a murderer. But the soap opera-y nonsense I could do without, right? It's not.
Oh, it's hokey. That's very hokey. Yeah,
but the movie's not a traditional slasher in the way that it's
not a slasher movie.
Hunted in a Wood.
No.
But it is so much as you've got the when the daughter makes the deal, and then it kind of becomes you've got the bad guy chasing you, and then there are certainly tropes of the slasher genre, but once you get past the soap opera nonsense and you get into bodily transgressions, whether that be people searching for hedonism, whether that be a skinless person, whether that being even cutting your hand on a piece of furniture.
Yeah, whether that means skinning somebody's father and putting his skin on your skin to disguise yourself as him.
Yes. It is all about the bodily transgressions, isn't it? It's all about the horrific element that you can have somebody else's skin moving from one person to another, and it's all having the pain and the pleasure is not necessarily opposites, but it's a spectrum, and there is the notion of good and evil is kind of subverted and it's questioned, because there is a line, there is a mix, there is an argument that Julia is the villain instead of the lead Cenobite.
Because as Pinhead himself says, demons to some, angel to others. But what we think about Pinhead is entirely subjective. But you picked up on something very interesting there. The idea of the flesh being mutable. So the squishy part of ourselves is mutable and liable to change and warp. And what defines us as people? Is it sensual pleasure? Is it the outer fleshy part of ourselves? The fact we're talking like this shows how provocative and interesting the film is for what could
in an hour and a half movie as well.
Exactly, and it shows what a fascinating and provocative writer Clive Barker is. Let's not forget that Clive Barker,
and half an hour of that is wasted because we have the nonsense at the start.
But that is the setup, though, isn't it? That's the setup. I think you kind of need to get a sense of domestic unit. It wasn't helped by the fact that midway through production, the production company requested that the movie actually be set in America rather than London. Hence why there's lots of quite cringy overdubbing with the dialogue, because that was forced on Clive Barker midway through. So that's very odd. I didn't know that. Yeah, because you look at it and think that's not America. That's not an American house. Like, since when you see an American house looking as pokey as that? That's clearly Britain, as it was meant to be from the start.
I never thought about it, if I'm honest. I didn't think about where is this? I was like, hang on, what realm are we in now?
It's what realm of dubbing are we in? Where are they speaking from? Are they speaking English? Are they speaking Martian? Like, what are they doing? But I mean, it is fascinating. I mean, I haven't read The Hellbound Heart, but I am aware of it as one of Clive Barker's most famous stories. I mean, the resurrection scene, as a sign of how kinky Clive Barker is, it's not just blood that resurrects Frank. It's not just Frank's, but it's. I mean,
that we can.
Well, I was just going to say, gentleman's relish is also involved.
Oh, so. Why have you said that?
Sorry, I tried to be more subtle than the story, but it just failed. So But this is the whole thing. It's all about, it takes horror back to that idea of being about sex, horror being built on gothic sexuality and romance. This goes all the way through Clive Barker's writing. It's all the way through the film. It's really perverted, really weird, horrifyingly gory. Even now, it's like, yikes.
Well,
Yep.
So what did you make of Christopher Young's score then in that case?
Oh, there's the A-star question.
Well, Christopher Young, I think all I know about him is that he is from a little place called Red Bank, New Jersey. Now, do you know what's so special about Red Bank, New Jersey?
Is it where the boss is from?
No.
Oh, he is from New Jersey, though, isn't he?
He is. He's from Asbury Park.
Right.
Red Bank, New Jersey is the home to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Ah, okay. Right, okay. Well, Christopher Young has never scored a Jay and Silent Bob movie.
He has not, which is something I would genuinely like to hear.
We're coming up with all the crossovers today, like all the crossover properties. Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of his wheelhouse. He did do Spider-Man 3.
He did, yeah, after Danny Elfman fell out with Sam Raimi on Spider-Man 2, which then necessitated the importation of certain Christopher Young tracks in Spider-Man 2, and then Christopher Young then did Spider-Man 3 all on his own. But Young is a really, really fantastic composer, and I think he doesn't really get his flowers. He's worked largely, but not exclusively, within horror. He's a very, very well-reputed horror composer, and Hellraiser, the first Hellraiser score, was probably what put him on the map. He had scored horror films before this, like Invaders from Mars, but this, and particularly the score for Hellraiser 2, which is even more spectacular than this one, really...
What makes it more spectacular?
Because the way he builds on the musical themes from this one and bolsters it with extra layers of choir, extra layers of orchestration. It's basically more bombastic and more celebratory than the score for Hellraiser 2. The score for this one is gorgeous and ecstatic, but it's perhaps more subtle. And it's interesting, actually, because Clive Barker actually originally enlisted the British electronic band Coil to do the score for this. And they were thrown out because for once it was the production company going, maybe we don't have an experimental score, maybe we have an orchestral score. They brought in Christopher Young. And I think it's, in addition to the makeup effects, it's probably the film's greatest asset. It's the film. It gives an extraordinary sense of tactile romance and awe to the film, and it really deepens our understanding of what the film is about, which is, as I keep saying, it is a romance. It is a very perverted romance, but it is a romance nonetheless. Right from the opening titles, where you have the first of two main themes, you have the Hellraiser theme, and you think a film like this, you'd think you might start off with big, loud, brassy outbursts or psycho stabby strings. No, you start off with a very elegant waltz-like rhythm that's creepy and alluring and oddly beautiful. And I remember hearing that for the first time thinking, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting a film like this to have a theme like that, which is, it cues you into what the film is about before it's even started, which again is the essence of what any great score should do. And then there is the other theme, which plays during Frank's resurrection scene and others, which is the lament configuration theme, which is the theme for the box, which actually... the box actually tinkles out a music chime version of that theme throughout the film. If you listen carefully, you can actually hear the box playing its own like twisted, cracked version of it. And that is an even more grandiose waltz. That's basically a celebration of all that's sensual and perverted and flesh-ripping and weird and hellish. And the score is fantastic. It's one of my favorite horror scores of all time. It's incredibly impactful. There's real, in addition to the orchestra, again, bearing in mind this film was made for very, very little money, it's extraordinary how sophisticated the music is, really, because the music often gets short end of the stick if there's no money involved in a film. But when you listen to the material for the Cenobites, again, Young is very careful not to overly code them with evil textures. It's very ambient, and there's lots of clanking effects and sort of chains. Obviously, the sound of the chains on the soundtrack is very pivotal there. So it's, I think the opaqueness of the material for the Cenobites, not coding them as explicitly good or evil, offsets the orchestral writing brilliantly, and it's fantastic. I think it's such a good score. I really hope you think that as well, because I've prattled on about that a lot.
No, I do. I obviously didn't pick up on the nuances that you did. It was my first watch, so yeah, it's. I do remember it being a key part of beginning to hook me in, and that opening.
No pun intended. Yeah.
Behave. And the opening riff that you mentioned, the opening theme that you mentioned, was very different to what I was expecting. So I was, it was one of the things I wanted to bring up because I was pretty certain that you would love it and you'd be able to eloquently put why it was so good. And I pretty much agree with what you said.
Well, then let me have another crack at it, because I don't think I succeeded. So,
let's not say we did. Have you listened to the Coil music? Because they released the unreleased themes for Hellraiser, which by its nature became defunct the minute they released it. Because they did do some work. Have you heard those?
I haven't actually. I haven't listened to it, to be honest. I imagine it was probably more industrial and probably incorporated more metal effects, and I'm assuming alluding more explicitly to the actual physical nature of the movie. But no, I haven't listened to it. But I love horror scores in particular that subvert your expectations when you think something is scary and it's instead romantic but creepy, which is what this score is.
That goes back to the best Frankenstein adaptations,
yes,
doesn't
absolutely it does. Yeah,
there's a it's similar with Dracula, I suppose, but the sweeping romantic scores for those classic horror movies is something that you put hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic observation. You're absolutely right. The idea of melodrama being baked into the history of horror music, which is what Young honors here fantastically well, and it molds so beautifully to the themes of the film, and yeah, and it put him on the map. It put Young on the map. He's one of the greatest horror composers we have. Yeah,
there we go. And as we mentioned, it held its first public showing at the Great Prince Charles Cinema in London, just north of Leicester Square. So that was in September the 10th, 1987. So little young Sean was a couple of months old.
I was 5 months old by that point.
Yes. I wasn't. I was not born.
You were -4. Were you?
Yeah. Yeah, -4. But, it was a big success financially. As we mentioned, it was budgeted at $1 million, and it took $30 million on its gross. It has been reevaluated to being seen as a classic of the horror genre, arguably one of the greatest horror movies that Britain has ever produced, is what it's been claimed as. That's not for me to say. I've seen this film once, but I can understand it. I can certainly understand it, that there is an awful lot going on. It is not just rip you apart. And it also doesn't have like a sneer to it. It doesn't have a sense of humor. Like when you look at things like Evil Dead, which was big around then, it doesn't have that kind of winking, ridiculous tonal shift.
No, it plays it seriously. So like, and so when carnal pleasures and sort of pleasures and sins of the flesh do rear their head in this film, you think, oof, like you really do feel it. Like you really do feel it in your gut. I mean, the 80s. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the Evil Dead there, because the Evil Dead was another kind of 80s bastion that used practical makeup effects so well. The 80s was the best period for this. It was, the idea of crafting things out of like rubber and latex and food coloring and the stuff that people could do to make you believe in these like hellish, grisly abominations was extraordinary. And I think maybe to round this off, we ought to just again honor Doug Bradley as Pinhead, who became the central figure in an ongoing series of sequels and remakes of Hellraiser, none of which were all that. I mean, I haven't seen most of them. I've seen a few of them. None of them are as good as the original one. But that image of him is, and his...
It's iconic.
It is iconic. It's up there with like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. It's even though he's got a different modus operandi as a character, but it's
I've got a pop quiz question for you.
Oh, you're Dennis Hoppering me. See, yeah. Speed.
Okay. Right. So, seeing as you brought up Doug Bradley, he is one of 7 actors to play the same horror character in at least 6 consecutive films. Can you name any of the other characters, or even any of the other actors?
I'm going to say Kane Hodder, who played Jason Voorhees.
Nope.
Okay, interesting. Are we talking strictly horror here?
Yes, we are.
Interesting. Who played? Now I'm gonna have to give you the answer because I'm just gonna go into dead air, which we know is a crime on podcasting. So I'm just rather than speculate, I'm just gonna have to ask you for the answer.
You've got. I mean, just think who is a very famous horror character and an actor that is synonymous with that character.
I mean, you got Dracula, Christopher Lee.
Yep, that's one.
Okay, yeah. We've got, I suppose, you've got the likes of Frankenstein.
No, Frankenstein.
No.
You've mentioned him already.
Jason Voorhees.
No, the other one you've mentioned. You've asked about him.
Michael Myers.
No, Freddy Krueger.
Oh, Robert Englund. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Never let it be said, I once, quote unquote, interviewed him, and I hadn't turned the recording device on. So I then had a conversation with him. That then
you had a lovely conversation.
Yeah, and he was very, very nice. Yeah, so yeah.
The others I can sort of whistle through. Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun, Brad Dourif as Chucky, Tobin Bell as Jigsaw, and Roger L. Jackson as Ghostface.
Yeah, so Doug Bradley's in good company. Yeah,
you failed miserably there, Sean.
I did. I'm going to be dragged straight to hell. The Cenobites are going to come and get me, just for my lack of horror knowledge. But
which you may like. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, hell, I like graveyards when I was younger. So, I mean, you know, yes. I mean, also, this is a completely, this is a minor little thing, but that Doug Bradley's delivery of Frank, like that at the end, when he comes out of the shadow, that is like the greatest utterance of that name that I think I've ever heard in any film ever.
Considering he's Scouse, what would it sound like in real life?
Frank, Frank, here, come here. You want your hooks? You think you got away from us, Frank? That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be a very different film. Yeah.
It would. A Scouse pinhead.
Candyman, that in its original story known as The Forbidden, was set in Liverpool, not in America. So
there we go.
And that's a fantastic story, one of Clive Barker's best. Yeah.
Well, that's because Clive Barker was also Scouse.
Yeah, great, isn't it? Great. Yeah.
Boss lad is what he is.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about the 1997 Paul W.S. Anderson film, Event Horizon. And we're back. Sean, we discussed Hellraiser just before the break, and I did the plot synopsis for that. I wanted to do that, mostly because it felt easier. So off you go. And you have seen Event Horizon far more than I have. This was my second viewing. So tell me about it.
Yeah, this isn't my second viewing of this movie. I watched this movie a lot when I was about 14. I think... Yeah, and it's one of those movies I remember watching a lot, like this, Starship Troopers, Blade. I think I had them all recorded onto the same VHS. And I think, back in the days when you used to leave a VHS running and it would pick up like late night stuff, that let's just say there was a late night movie that ended up being accidentally adjoined to the end of this VHS. So... Yep.
Your mum's probably listening to this, right?
Yeah, and I've got no shame. So clearly, sorry, mum. Yeah. So yeah, she does listen. Hi, mum. Yeah. So yeah.
By a late night movie, you're obviously referring to Event Horizon.
Yeah. Clearly, yeah, that's clearly what I mean. So yeah. No, I mean that very late night art house movie, of course, is what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, Event Horizon. So
Where did
yeah.
Debbie go? Dallas, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I wasn't really concentrating on the geography. Anyway,
oh, God.
yeah. So yeah, Event Horizon. This was a staple diet of mine when I was 14. It's probably one of the films that kind of pushed me into really loving horror movies. Actually, it's a pretty bold and nasty horror movie to watch as a 14-year-old. So we begin in 2047. The deep spaceship Event Horizon, which disappeared many years ago around Neptune, has apparently come back mysteriously out of nowhere. The late great Sam Neill, who was one of the reasons why we did this episode, one of the reasons why we chose Event Horizon was to honor the memory of Sam Neill, plays.
Well, this is the thing. We had this theme. We had these films, and it was on the list, and yeah, we'll get there. But then with the passing of Sam Neill, it was, no, let's do this. Unfortunately, I was supposed to be on the episode of Movieversaries on the Punch and Pie network, which covered Hunt for the Wilder People, because that's reached 10 years old. I was supposed to be on that, and I missed it. So I was gutted about that. So at least we get to chat a bit of Sam Neill today on this.
Yeah, and I had the great pleasure of interviewing Sam Neill for Hunt for the Wilder People to get the spittoon ready. And he was an absolute delight. That was a clear career highlight for me, him and Julian Dennison. So I was really proud to do that. So, and in this, he plays an altogether less wholesome character, let's say, well, at least eventually. So,
I mean, is Unk in Hunt for the Wilder People? He's pretty non-wholesome.
He's grumpy in that. He's downright evil in this. I mean,
well, yeah,
I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to go into the wilderness with any Sam Neill character, you're going to do it with Heck, aren't you? You're not going to do it with Dr. Weir. Let's be honest about that. So,
I mean, I'd prefer to do it with Dr. Alan Grant.
If
I'm getting to pick
he's off
to
the
go
table.
into the wilderness.
Imagine he's off the table. So Sam Neill.
It could be Damien as well. Like, he did play Damien in the final conflict, didn't he?
He did. He was also in Possession, and Sam Neill said that psychologically broke him. And you watch the film, and I can imagine why. It's it's a completely nasty, opaque film. But
sorry, I've derailed Event Horizon twice, haven't I?
Yeah, you've sent us off into like the cosmos, alternative cosmos. But no, so
what I did was I folded the paper and I poked the pen through it.
Yeah, and we're going to get back to that because there is a bone of contention there that I'm going to.
Hi, Christopher Nolan.
Right, okay, you've preempted me. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah. So, but yeah,
it came up when we discussed Interstellar.
It did, yeah, and it can come up again because that's how annoyed I am about it. So, yeah. So Sam Neill plays William Weir, the designer of the Event Horizon, who basically teams with a deep space crew, the Lewis and Clark, led by Captain Miller, Lawrence Fishburne, to basically head out to the Event Horizon, which is returned in Neptune's orbit, to discover where it went, what happened, where's it been, the fact that it didn't blow up all those years ago. It was actually experimenting. The Event Horizon was experimenting with deep space travel via an onboard wormhole, effectively, that was designed by Dr. Weir. He reveals this to the Lewis and Clark crew. Things sound a bit ominous. Things get even more ominous when he plays back a recording of what may or may not have happened to the Event Horizon's previous crew, which is basically a load of distorted, garbled screaming. And I would just, upon hearing that, I would just nope the fuck out of there upon hearing that. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near that. But of course, this being a horror movie, they enter Neptune's orbit. They board the Event Horizon, which was basically described by director Paul W.S. Anderson as Notre Dame in space, and you can certainly see like the Gothic, like buttressed design. You can definitely see that on there, like the flying buttresses and so on. So they
wasn't that where most of the budget went?
Probably. I would have thought so, and it's certainly the film's strongest asset. I would say the design of the ship, and of course they board the ship, and Dr. Weir appraises them of the gravity drive that basically is able to fold space-time, as we've said. Dr. Weir demonstrates this by folding a piece of paper in half and pushing a pen through it, which Christopher Nolan then liberally ripped off for Interstellar. I'm like, that
It was
is
an homage.
outrageous.
It was
not an homage; it was a rip-off. I mean, it was. Also in Interstellar, I'm sorry if I already said this in the previous episode. It's like they're practically they're on top of the wormhole, and it's almost like Christopher Nolan has actually forgotten to go, oh yeah, by the way, we're about to do this. And there's literally just like at least in Event Horizon, it's set up properly in relation to the narrative, like before they even get to the ship. Anyway, so he appraises. Yeah, well, I mean, nearly. So he appraises them of the gravity drive that can fold space-time, which may or may not account for what the hell happened to the Event Horizon's previous crew who vanished. Of course, the gravity drive opens. One of the Lewis and Clark team members gets sucked in, comes back out, and then all manner of weird, grisly, hellish shit starts happening. The team members start seeing visions. Kathleen Quinlan's character Peter starts seeing visions of her son, from whom she's now separated across many, many light years of space. Captain Miller sees the burning corpse of an old crew member that he was forced to leave behind many, many years ago. Dr. Weir starts seeing visions of his late wife, who it turns out killed herself. She appears in this like eyeless vision,
Yes.
and things go very Hellraiser
face sort of stuff.
It is actually, yeah, it's a good comparison. So I you know what? I'm not just looking through rose-tinted glasses. This is a very, very flawed film, largely because of the circumstances of its production. It was turned into a flawed film because it was messed around with by the studio in post-production. But I think there is just enough memorable design and nasty, gory stuff, along with a sprinkling of fairly provocative ideas, I think, to make this a passable, if occasionally somewhat decent and surprising watch. It's not consistently great. I think it does fall down in its last act quite badly, but I think there is enough creepy atmosphere in it to keep one invested, particularly when you find out where the Event Horizon has been, which obviously we'll get to that in a minute, because that
I mean, it's been spoiled in the title of the episode.
Yes.
Why has Paul W.S. like? I kind of agree with you, right? It's not a great movie. There's a reason I've not watched it. I enjoy it. It's fine. But I know there's some people, Chris Hewitt being one of them, would proclaim this as one of the great movies of all time. And I don't see that.
It's not that. It's not that.
The question I've got is, why is Paul W.S. Anderson not even reached the heights of Event Horizon in his career? Like, what's going on there?
I mean, I think
he's made some absolute dreck.
He really has, and this movie is a complete stone's throw away from being complete dreck as well. And it's only really down to the conviction of the actors and the success of the set design, I think, and the makeup that really lifts it up. And again, it's not his fault because the edit was taken off him. Apparently, it was nearly 140 minutes long in its original edit. Paramount said no, that won't do, so they cut it down to 90 minutes. So it's more incoherent than what, and it's much faster paced than what they'd said. Sam Neill himself has been asked this in several interviews, and he said prior to his death, it's not the film that I thought I was making, and you can definitely see those scars in it. But yeah, Paul W. Anderson, yeah, it's an interesting one because you can see talent in this. There's kind of gothic, grandiose talent in this film, isn't there? Like,
there is, but then that's a filmography.
And then there's all the Milo Jovovich stuff that came afterwards. So,
well, to be fair, he married her, so
you
know that makes sense. You know. But yeah, there's a reason that WS is very different to Thomas. Right? That's...
This is not the director of Boogie Nights, although that was the same year as this.
It was. It was. Yeah. I think that the acting talent. You look at the cast of the Lewis and Clark. You look at the ensemble cast that is assembled. A pre-Matrix Lawrence Fishburne, like, brilliant performance. He's basically playing Morpheus. Sam Neill, again, wonderful. Jolie Richardson is, I think, a bit underwritten she's kind of written to be the pretty person, and she plays that well.
She's like the stoic first officer. It's some of her line deliveries are a little bit wooden,
ropey.
Yeah.
But she generally is a good actor. Let's go back to things like The Tudors. I think she's in Downton Abbey, which I've not watched. I remember her as well from. I think 101 Dalmatians was around about the same time as.
Yes, it was. It was the same time as this. Yeah, the live action one. Yeah.
Before Disney did it to every single movie, and even then,
we were the OG generation with that. We got there first.
We were.
Yeah,
we were, and it was actually okay. And you got Sean Pertwee in there and Jason Isaacs as well. Like even sort of the other people that the pilot, the doctor, even the other people on the Lewis and Clark are brilliant actors.
I mean, Sean Pertwee is great because he's just the surrogate for the audience. He's basically goes, "No, I haven't seen anything, sir, and I don't want to see anything here. But I'll tell you something: this ship is fucked." And it's kind of like that's exactly what anyone would say in that. So he's kind of like the comic, like the straight talking. Richard T. Jones actually is one of the other crewmen. He provides quite a lot of comic relief as well. And Kathleen Quinlan, who this same year was in Breakdown with Kurt Russell, which is one of my favorite thrillers of all time.
Wow. I've not seen that.
We're going to have to do Breakdown because that's terrific. Better than Event Horizon. But
it just makes me think of the song from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Well, I'm not going to be able to unhear that now. But she's really good as the medical officer who has been separated from her son, which ultimately a vision of that then ultimately leads to her death. But I mean, most of the actors die incredibly horrible deaths in this get when it lets rip. It's pretty nasty, and we'll get to the centerpiece bit, I imagine. But
do you mean the spinny weird gateway to hell?
Oh no, I don't mean
surrounded by a moat.
He's surrounded by a moat, which is very, very weird, and lots of random spikes on the wall that look like a kind of health inspector's nightmare.
Yeah, who's building that? There's not even a safety rail.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I mean, that's the key image from the film. I was talking about the scene when they play back the transmission, when they find out what was behind that audio, and they play the video back.
When we hear initially it's translated as "save me."
Liberate me, and it's like same. It's like it's not save me as Jason Isaacs trans liberate tuta me, save your ex inferis, save yourself from hell. That tees it up, so you think, okay, that's a really good scene between him and Lawrence Fishburne because it's all about ominous when Jason Isaacs' character, the medical officer, basically realizes that okay, I mistranslated that. I mean, I don't quite understand how you don't understand what liberate me means in Latin. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and I mean, even if it is in the future, but. I can understand not getting the rest of it, but just
I mean, I would not be able to translate Latin, so
I mean, liberate. We all know what liberate means. It just sounds like that. So anyway, but it's clearly they're lacking brain cells in 2047. So.
Well, I'm not getting into the etymology of Latin, a dead language, with you.
That's another podcast, the etymology of Latin.
And I guarantee you it will be less entertaining than this.
Yes, it will, yeah. But yeah,
Michael Kamen's score.
Well, I mean, before we get to that, the video playback, which is genuinely horrible.
Yes,
and I say that as a horror fan, and I like gore when it's used in films properly,
and it is here. It is used to great effect.
Yeah, the video transmission kicks back in line with the audio that they had earlier. It's like, that's what happened to the rest of the crew. They basically fucked and butchered each other to death. I
like it when a movie will show you something that you thought you knew and then pull that rug out from underneath you. And I think that's what I like about Event Horizon. This time on watching it, I already brought him up. I went, that does sound a lot like the music for Die Hard. And it was Michael Kamen.
Yes, it is.
So I was really pleased with myself for the fact that
I mean, we don't have our gold star sound effect anymore. Do you? You get one from me anyway, because that was...
Oh, well, thank you. No, we lost the gold star.
Yeah. But I mean, not just Michael Kamen and Orbital, the British trance group. I mean, tell me this is a 90s movie without telling me it's a 90s movie, right? I mean, right from the
The
opening
group
credit
named
sequence.
after the M25.
Yeah, but right from that pounding opening credits sequence, which I think was Orbital on its own. But as far as I'm aware, the construction of the score was Michael Kamen and Orbital, I think, were both sharing a studio together, and they pretty much collaborated on everything. So I think Kamen laid down the orchestral tracks because Kamen was one of the great film score composers. We sadly lost him in 2003, not long after the release of this film. And Orbital did the electronic sampling. And I think the idea of the blurring of those lines is actually good. It's a futuristic movie, but it's also built on those timeless orchestral principles of pure terror, like Christopher Young's score with Hellraiser. So it kind of makes sense to bring those two together. I have to be completely honest. I think in the final mix of the movie, and it's probably not helped by the very haphazard post-production editing that the film went through, I think a lot of those music nuances do get lost.
Very possibly.
Yeah, I mean the sections of the score you do notice are the brassy triplets, the syncopated rhythms, like you said, that was very
Like
much a
Die Hard.
signature, like Die Hard.
Yes.
Yeah, the more apocalyptic, doomy orchestral side of it is what you really notice. And I mean, Michael Kamen was an extraordinary experimentalist. There are fabulously experimental passages for like brass and strings, which I imagine, looking at the visual design of the movie, I would imagine he was probably influenced by what Stanley Kubrick did with the music on The Shining, with like Ligeti and Bartok. I imagine there's more than a bit of that in there. But
yeah, I mean, if you're going to take influence from anyone.
Yeah, you might as well take influence from that, right? Kamen was a genius. I'm not sure if this is one of his career best scores, to be honest. I think it works functionally in the film. I mean, Michael Kamen was always at his best when he was working on really beautiful, emotive stuff. You think of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. You think of Band of Brothers. You think of things like that. Mr. Holland's Opus. He was fantastic at doing those kind of scores. I think his work suffered on this. I think it suffered because of what Paramount did with the film.
Yes.
But it works efficiently. It's
It does, but there's enough of it there that you do hear a personality. You do hear him coming out.
He had a very, very strong musical signature, did Michael Kamen. Yeah, he had a very strong, and to have any kind of musical voice in film soundtracks, particularly like you said, if you can hear that it's that composer based on that pattern of notes, that straight away tells you that composer had a very strong voice.
Well, this is personal growth, because 10 years ago I could not have done that.
It's just like
although saying that, I might have. Right, I might have, but I just wouldn't have thought twice about it. Whereas
you might have, but you might not
go,
have.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I've just been shouting Michael Kamen at you constantly. Just
I didn't know his name. I did go Die Hard composer.
Yeah, it's like that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so. Like you, I do think it sets up a really interesting story, and it's got some hokey science that you go along with it. It's got some hokey effects that, again, of their time.
Particularly the CGI.
They've aged. Yeah, the CGI has aged significantly worse than the scrungy creature effects in Hellraiser. But it does begin to lose its way. Right? It does descend into a little bit of nonsense at the end.
It's when because Sam Neill is having great fun ripping up.
He's chewing everything. Yeah.
Well, towards the end, I mean,
he ate and left no crumbs.
Yeah. Gen Z reference. I think, is it?
I don't know.
It's
after me. I know that much.
Yeah, but I mean, at first, Dr. Weir just looks like he's a man haunted by his demons and who wants to preserve the sanctity of his ship at all costs. And then, of course, the evil that's on the ship has been to hell. And, it's brought an evil force back with it that's basically transfigured the ship. Dr. Weir then falls victim to that, claws out his own eyes. And then that's when it goes full Hellraiser then. And that's when Sam Neill starts chewing up the scenery. And that's when I really start to appreciate, again, this being a 1997 film, there's a lot of practical makeup effects that are terrific. Particularly when you've got Sam Neill in the full body suit at the end when he's fighting Lawrence Fishburne by the core, and it's all kicking off. But,
That's one way to put it. No, I was kind of, I was sort of out by then. I was like, you know what?
It does get silly. Yeah. Also, did you notice? I haven't brought this up for a long time. Did you notice the GoldenEye 1964 punch sound effects when he's like?
I did.
It's like, would you not have just gone through the edit and just changed those sound effects a bit? But I mean, on the subject of the makeup, the transmission scene, or I think what it's commonly known as is, or uncommonly known as, the blood orgy, which is basically what it is. Apparently that was the blorgy. Apparently that was more than double the length of stuff that you see the Event Horizon crew doing to each other, the previous Event Horizon crew. Apparently there were rumors that, well, not rumors, it was confirmed that was the filming of that incredibly horrible sequence was offloaded to a second unit, which I think was overseen by a porn director, or no, they hired porn actors. They hired porn actors for it to basically contort themselves. So,
a group of people that are very, very well known for their believable performances.
Well, I mean, how hard is it to be believable when you're being torn apart, right? I mean, it's just, but you know, there was all sorts going on, basically.
In which movie are you talking about when you say that?
To be honest, I don't know. I feel like I've gone through the Stargate of hell myself now. But the long and short of it is, there was a lot more of that.
Don't say that either.
Yeah. There was a lot more of that in that scene, and it was trimmed right back at the behest of Paramount. And it's long been rumored that there has been a director's cut of Event Horizon. And get this right, there would have been a director's cut had the film negative not been stored in a salt mine, which apparently completely degraded the film. So no director's cut on offer here, because otherwise we might have seen more of that horrible, genuinely horrible stuff that was cut down. So maybe it's for the best. You know.
Probably, given the rest of Paul W.S. Anderson's output, I think limiting
you've come back to that, have you? It's like
limiting him might be what helps.
The Monty Python, stick the boot in there.
Well, you know.
I mean, I mean, it's not good. Yeah, his oeuvre is not good.
No, this is kind of a weird outlier, though, isn't it? You look at it and you go, that had something in it. Like, the first Resident Evil had something in it.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah, that was fine. This film, Event Horizon, it's solid. It's solid to declining in the final act, but there's enough good stuff in there and enough nasty moments in there. God knows it stayed with me as a 14-year-old. That you know, it's good stuff.
Elevated by its actors. It's absolutely elevated by its actors. And Sam Neill is the one we can herald at this point, but like I say, there's gravitas to Lawrence Fishburne. There's a real young talent to Jason Isaacs. There's a real, you know, a depth of character to Sean Pertwee, to Russell T. Jones, to, I mean, like you say, Jolie Richardson's line readings. Kathleen Quinlan also. She, like you said, she was doing some great stuff at the time as well. So I think led by Sam Neill, but a pretty solid cast elevates. Like we said last week when we were discussing whether a score can save a bad movie, which it can't. A cast can't save a bad movie, but they elevate it. They try. Yeah,
well, Lawrence Fishburne as Captain Miller, his reactions when they play back the transmission in absolute disgust, and then turns it off. We're leaving. It's like that is like the perfect horror movie reaction. And anyone who would see something as appallingly awful as that's exactly what you would say. It's like, yeah, let's get the hell out of here right now. So it's quite refreshing in a horror movie to actually get somebody like a commander who actually behaves logically like a human being. And Lawrence Fishburne is great. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, Event Horizon was not, as mentioned, not a big hit. It was a money-losing venture. It was budgeted around about $70 million, and it took $42 million at the box office. I don't think there was anything big that was released in 1997
no, can't remember anything.
Taking the all of the money from everywhere.
No, oh, hang on, there was one. There was one.
It was just a sinking ship, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, but enough about Event Horizon. What about the film? Yeah. We are, of course, talking about Titanic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that kind of was a thing, and
yeah,
I mean we've already sort of hinted at the existence of other footage, the fact that Paul W.S. Anderson has said that it's never going to be seen, even though there was a VHS found, but we don't know. We don't know what's going on.
It's so degraded. I don't think we're ever going to get it. But it's just that's what I've read anyway. So, and
also really, do we really want it? Really,
well,
it might make the film better, but
yeah, it's interesting because I saw an interview with Sam Neill where he professed admiration for Alien, like the first Alien, and he thought that basically they were making a feature-length homage to Alien. He said there were whole sequences that I shot in this film that weren't in the final edit, and he said the pacing was a lot slower and it was more gradual. I think the reveal of the horror was more gradual in the original thing, and it didn't turn out like that. So
it did not. I would like to see the movie that Sam Neill was making in his head. Another film that ripped off the pen and paper thing was Thor: Love and Thunder as well. So we can shout out Taika Waititi on that one.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
I thought you might have. It's probably the best thing with Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
We shouted out Hunt for the Wilder People, so that means we're allowed to kick Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got its lovers. It critically didn't fare well, but it has become something of a cult. I don't really get it, but that's okay.
It's become quite influential. There have been a raft of deep space, deep space, like Hellraiser-y type movies, and I suppose one. I mean, what was the video game series? Was it Dead Space that you had, which I think was
a video game series.
Yeah, I think that was very much kind of inspired by this, at least aesthetically. So this movie did extend an influence. We've already mentioned Interstellar with the pen and paper bit. Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. It's an interesting little footnote, but I wouldn't necessarily ascribe game-changing meaning to the film in the way that you had with Hellraiser definitely broke into the zeitgeist. I don't think Event Horizon kind of did. And that will just about do us for this week on Frame to Frame. And next week, we're going to be talking monochrome road trip movies. So you'll be able to find out what they are when the episode itself drops. We're a proud part of Punch and Pie Media. You can find out more about Punch and Pie on the website punchandpie.com. And you'll be able to find all the information within the show notes, where you can find us on our Discord, and you can come in and have a chat and follow us on various social media sites. But until next week, where we're discussing monochrome road trip movies, I'm Andy Williams.
And I'm Sean Wilson.
Thanks very much for joining us. We'll speak to you again. Bye-bye.